Have you ever wondered how life transitioned from water to land? It's a question that has fascinated scientists and nature enthusiasts alike for centuries. In the beginning, Earth was a molten, volatile place. As it cooled, water vapor condensed to form vast oceans, providing the perfect cradle for the first spark of life. These early life forms were simple, single-celled organisms, the precursors of bacteria and archaea. They thrived in the water, which offered a stable environment and a medium in which nutrients could be easily exchanged. Over hundreds of millions of years, these microscopic life forms evolved and diversified. Some developed a primitive form of photosynthesis, harnessing the power of the sun to produce energy. This process released oxygen into the atmosphere, transforming the planet and paving the way for more complex life forms to emerge. In these ancient oceans, a delicate balance of survival and adaptation shaped the course of life. Some organisms developed flagella, whip-like appendages that allowed them to move and hunt for food. Others formed colonies, joining together to increase their chance of survival. As they evolved, these organisms faced a myriad of challenges. Changes in temperature, salinity, and nutrient availability forced them to adapt or perish. Yet they thrived. Each new adaptation a testament to the resilience and ingenuity of life. Over time, the complexity of these life forms increased. Some developed a nucleus, becoming the first eukaryotic cells. These cells were the building blocks of all multicellular organisms, from the tiniest plants to the largest animals. In these vast, primordial oceans, life was flourishing. But as these organisms thrived and multiplied, they were unknowingly setting the stage for one of the most significant transitions in the history of life. So, how did these water-bound organisms make the leap to land? Well, it was a complex, gradual process that took millions of years, filled with evolutionary twists and turns. The journey of life from water to land required a series of crucial adaptations that allowed organisms to survive in a radically different environment. Let's start by talking about lungs. In the water, most organisms were relying on gills to extract oxygen. But as some species started to venture into shallower waters and muddy environments, they developed a primitive form of lungs. This allowed them to breathe in oxygen directly from the air, a skill that would prove essential for life on land. But breathing wasn't the only challenge waiting on terra firma. The pull of gravity was much stronger outside the buoyant water, and crawling on the belly wasn't going to cut it. Enter the evolution of legs. These sturdy appendages first developed as simple stubs, helping creatures to navigate the muddy shallows. But over time, they became more complex, capable of supporting weight and providing mobility on solid ground. Then there's the matter of reproduction. In the water, most organisms laid soft eggs that were fertilized externally. But on land, these eggs would quickly dry out and fail. So, life had to come up with a new strategy. The solution? The hard-shelled egg. This evolutionary innovation provided a protective casing that kept the embryo moist and safe, enabling it to develop fully before hatching. These adaptations didn't occur in isolation. They were the result of countless generations of trial and error, survival and extinction. Each adaptation was a response to a specific challenge, and together they formed a suite of tools that enabled life to transition from water to land. Through these adaptations, life was ready to take its first steps on land, but that was just the beginning. The real excitement started when life began to diversify and flourish in its new terrestrial home. But we'll get to that in the next scene. Stay tuned to continue this incredible journey from the water's edge to the forest's heart. Through these adaptations, life was ready to take its first steps on land. Imagine the first creatures stepping out of the water into a whole new world. Quite a leap of faith, wouldn't you say? But this is exactly what happened around 500 million years ago when life decided to venture onto the barren, unexplored territories of land. Among the first pioneers were plants. Evolving from green algae, these early plants had to overcome numerous challenges to survive on land. Devoid of the buoyancy of water, they needed to develop structural support to stand upright. They also had to devise strategies to prevent desiccation and to reproduce without water. As a result, plants developed roots for anchorage and absorption of water, and leaves for photosynthesis. The evolution of a protective outer layer, the cuticle, and a new reproductive system involving spores and seeds marked a significant leap in their adaptation to terrestrial life. Accompanying plants in this transition were fungi. Fungi and plants formed a symbiotic relationship known as mycorrhiza, where fungi helped the plants absorb essential nutrients from the soil, and in return, received sugars produced by the plants. This partnership played a crucial role in helping both organisms establish themselves on land. Next came the arthropods, the first true land-dwelling animals. Arthropods, such as millipedes and spiders, had already developed hard exoskeletons and jointed legs, features that gave them the edge in colonizing the land. These early arthropods also had to evolve ways to breathe air instead of water, leading to the development of spiracles, tiny tubes for gas exchange. These early ventures onto land had a profound impact on the environment. Plant colonization led to the formation of the first soils, and contributed to the oxygenation of the atmosphere. The arrival of arthropods initiated the first terrestrial food chains, shaping the land into a complex ecosystem. These pioneers paved the way for more complex life forms to make the transition. And so, the story of life's great adventure from water to land continues, painting a fascinating picture of resilience, adaptation, and evolution. With the basics of land life established, the stage was set for more complex organisms. The initial leap from water to land was just the beginning. Life was about to get a lot more intricate and diverse. The first group to emerge in this new era were the amphibians. Think frogs, toads, and salamanders. These creatures were unique in that they were equally at home on land as they were in water. They were the bridge between the aquatic and terrestrial worlds. They laid their eggs in water, but once the young hatched, they could venture onto land. This dual lifestyle allowed them to exploit resources in both realms. Next came the reptiles. Reptiles were the first fully terrestrial vertebrates. They developed a new kind of egg, one that was waterproof and could be laid on land. This was a game changer. It meant that reptiles were no longer tied to water bodies for reproduction. They could now colonize a vast array of habitats from deserts to mountains. Then there were the mammals. Mammals brought with them a host of adaptations that allowed them to thrive on land. They developed fur to keep warm, and mammary glands to nourish their young. The evolution of live birth was another major step forward. It meant that mammals could provide their offspring with protection and care, increasing their chances of survival. Finally, we have the birds. Birds evolved from dinosaur ancestors and took to the skies. Their feathers allowed for flight, and their warm-blooded nature meant they could inhabit a wide range of climates. Birds also developed a unique respiratory system that was more efficient than that of any other land-dwelling creature. Each of these groups brought something new to the table. They built upon the foundations laid by their predecessors, adding new layers of complexity and specialization. This is the beauty of evolution. It's a never-ending process of innovation and adaptation. From these humble beginnings, a myriad of diverse life forms evolved. So, we've journeyed from the first life in water to the diverse land-dwelling organisms we see today. Our journey began with the first life forms that appeared in the water, simple single-celled organisms. These early life forms set the stage for the remarkable story of life on Earth. They thrived in the water, where they had all they needed to survive and reproduce. Over time, these simple life forms evolved into more complex organisms, setting off a chain reaction of evolution that would eventually lead to the diverse array of life we see today. We then dove into the concept of evolution and adaptation, two key players in this grand transition. Over millions of years, life in water began to adapt to the changing environment, evolving new traits that allowed them to survive in different conditions. This process of adaptation was not a one-time event, but a continuous process that took place over countless generations. This led us to the first land dwellers, the pioneers who braved a whole new world. These brave organisms, like the early plants and insects, made the first steps onto land, setting the stage for all future terrestrial life. They evolved various adaptations to cope with the challenges of life on land, from ways to prevent drying out to the development of structures to withstand gravity. Then we looked at the rise of complex life on land. From the first land dwellers, life on land began to diversify and become more complex. The evolution of different species, each adapted to their specific niche, led to the formation of complex ecosystems. This process culminated in the rise of the diverse and intricate web of life we see on land today. The journey of life from water to land is a fascinating story of resilience, adaptability, and evolution. It's a testament to how life can adapt to the most drastic changes, finding ways to survive and thrive in new environments. The journey of life from water to land is a testament to the incredible adaptability and resilience of life. It makes you wonder, what's the next step in evolution?